Welcome to the Clinical Teacher. If you come to us from Teach to Pay Teachers or the clinicalclassroom.com, if you come through our website, I'm going to quickly going through one of our sophisticated mapping and sorting tools for mathematics curriculum. This is similar to our generic one, however, this includes the IB levels of abstractions. I'm going to be using the macro version of it. When you purchase through the Teach to Pay Teachers website, you have options you can download. In the compressed file, it's either the macro or without macro. If you do open the macro one, often you do have to enable content, which is what you saw me do just there. Gives you the option to go full screen or standard screen. This tool is meant to be a little more like an app and a little less like an Excel spreadsheet, though it lives somewhere in between the two. Obviously, it is a spreadsheet, so you can use it universally with Excel, but it is meant to be very interactive. I'm going to flip over to full screen so you get an idea of what I'm talking about here. In this tool, it has broken up the curriculum into a number of different unit structures. This is one of the key features of this tool, is that we've mapped Common Core curriculum instead of in its standard sets of domains, number base 10, operations, and algebra. We've actually mapped it to unit structures, which align more succinctly to standalone unit structures, but also help us to more precisely link outcomes when we are teaching in a transdisciplinary way. So it allows us to teach mathematics when we're working through sciences and through the arts by connecting to any of these key specific unit structures. Let me walk through and quickly show you some of the features of the tool. Obviously, if you're using the macro, it has the full screen, non-full screen. If you don't have the macro, you can still set it up as full screen. First, let's jump over to just somewhere that's pretty easy to look at. So let's go to multiply and divide. What you're going to see here is gives us the grade levels. So we have a quick sorting tool, and we have our home button here. Based on what I want to look at for student outcomes, when I'm looking at these, I can scan up and I can quickly filter through to see which grade level I'm looking at. It brings up the Common Core outcomes. It tells you the Common Core elaboration, and then it gives you the levels of abstraction. To quickly review the levels of abstraction, they exist both in Common Core and in the IB. So if you are an IB school, this is very helpful. If you are not an IB school, but you are teaching the Common Core curriculum, they have a similar structure. We've sorted these elaborations, which came from MAP. Obviously, a really good assessment if you have access to it. Exceptional data. Definitely recommend you going to get it. But this gives us some of those elaborations from RIT or MAP, and it breaks it down to show us for this Common Core outcome, 3MD7, which is in number, multiplication, division, the Common Core elaboration tells us that it represents the areas of rectangles, so using multiplication expressions or equations. So this gives us that one statement. But when we look at the elaborations, we can see that at this grade level, there's no conceptual understanding. That's the first and earliest stage, building an understanding of why we're learning this. Then there's the next stage, which is transferring meaning to symbols. If we're talking about Common Core, that's their procedural or fluency skills. So there is one in there. It says represents the area of rectangles. So that's the actual act or procedural of doing this standard. But then there's, obviously, this is where we're looking towards more applying the understanding of those skills. In Common Core, they talk about applying with conceptual understanding. For Common Core, they just talk about application. Both mean the same thing. I understand the concept behind the skill. I can physically do it as a fluently and as a procedure, and then I can actually apply it when I'm solving problems. So you'll note a lot of these elaborations talk about solves or determines. So it's an actual act of doing a problem. These are really important. These are really important because they allow you to think about moving students, advancing and differentiating instruction, not just by moving ahead in content, not going from grade 3 to grade 4, from grade 4 to grade 5, but also thinking about what mastering each of these standards means. Mastering each of these standards does mean increasing the depth of our knowledge. So going from this understanding of the concept to eventually being able to apply that concept with understanding, so that we know that we have a deep understanding of that standard. Also, these are really important because they show us in many ways a sense of a scope and sequence, a process that moves from simple to complex, that each standard has a process towards mastery. It isn't just a single outcome, it's a progression towards an outcome. So that's where this tool is really powerful, in that it gives you the ability, yes, if you want to jump ahead to grade 4, then you can jump ahead to grade 4, but then you can also look across and start to see where we're moving to. You can go back to any of these areas and you can see the same thing exists in any of these standard areas. This is by far one of my favorite tools that I've created. I use it every day when I was teaching. It gives me the ability to very quickly and easily access the content, very quickly and easily set outcomes that I wanted for my lessons. It is what I consider to be the best of my tools, at least so far. I plan on making some better ones as we go, but this is a really good one. If you have any questions or concerns, please feel free to email us. You can leave comments down on YouTube. You can contact us at theclinicalteacher@gmail.com. You can go through the website at theclinicalclassroom.com. You can contact me on Teachers Pay Teachers, the clinical teacher. I love to hear from you. I love to get your feedback. I love suggestions for tools, especially if it's something you find useful. And I certainly hope that you find this tool useful. Take care, and I hope you enjoy. Cheers.